Frank, you've spoken a lot about leadership this year. How tough is it as a coach to try to assign leadership to somebody instead of them just taking a role?
I don't think you do. I haven't assigned leadership to anybody. And, you know, some coaches think that's the way to do it. More power to them. I don't think that's the way it works. You know, I never told Senderis he needed to be a team leader. I never told Michael Carrera he needed to be a team leader. I never told Bruce Ellington he needed to be a team leader. I never told Angel Rodriguez he needed to be a team leader. I never told Rodney Magruder he needed to be a team leader. I never told Jacob Pullen to be a leader. I never told Denny Clement to be a leader. I never told Brent Wright to be a leader. I never told Udonis Haslem to be a leader. I never told Steve Blake to be a leader. They signed up for the job. Then it's my job to help them. And, you know, I've got two guys that have tried, and they haven't failed, but they're trying. And that's Chris Silva and Mike Kotsar. And they're the ones that they don't say, hey, I want to do this. They actually try to do right on the court. And they try to lead by example. They try to lead by actions, not just what they tell me in private. And they're both trying to do more as players, you know, and truth be told, it's always hard for big guys to be team leaders because the ball doesn't start in their hands. Defense doesn't start in front of them. You know, they're always on the back line of the offense and the back line of the defense. But those are the guys that have tried. Frank Booker, I'll give him credit. He tries to he's worked his tail off to have a good senior year. He really has. You know, he's not used to playing the way I've asked him to play, and it's hard to tell others what to do and hold others accountable when you're trying to figure stuff out yourself. But that's kind of why we floundered. Those are the three guys that I think have been willing to step forward and embrace responsibility and be consistent with it. I think, what's his name, spoke to you guys in here, Justin. See, Justin does everything you ask of him, everything. And he accepts the challenge, and he accepts his role, and he's grown as a player. But he's not at that place yet where he's going to hold others' feet to the fire and make them do things a certain way and lead the charge to doing right. He's not there yet. And whether or not he ever gets there, that's kind of on him. I can't make him do that. You got to be comfortable in when you're in a locker room with your peers, it's not comfortable to be a leader because you're going to rub some guys the wrong way. You got to be comfortable with being in that place. And, you know, and I know this, like, I'll give you an example. I think I've shared this with you guys. And if I'm being repetitive, I apologize. But, you know, there's different ways to lead. Bruce Ellington led because he helped the guys that, and I'm only going to give you the guys since I've been here. He helped the guy. He was selfless. It wasn't about him. That's why he graduated in 3.5 years, played 2 sports, the whole deal. He wanted to help, and you could see it by the way he would help guys. The thing is that he would help the guys that wanted his help. And it was clear to see how he would migrate to certain guys all the time. And then as a coach, you know, those are the guys that are really listening. Mindaugas led by his work ethic. Like, he'd be in the gym every night, every single night, just like Dwayne Notice. Michael Carrera would lead by threatening to rip your head off if you aggravated any of the coaches on the staff. If you did anything that went against what the coaches were asking, you were probably not going to want to be in the locker room at the same time he was. It's just and he was real about it. He didn't care. He didn't care if you didn't like him. That's how he led. You know, Sindarius led in a different way. Sindarius, if you came to practice and you just were not having a good day, or you were being negative, or body language, or a coach had to repeat the same thing to you 3-4 times, Sindarius would like stop practice and say, hey, I got him. And he'd embarrass that guy for the next 15 minutes of practice. Score on him every time. Wouldn't let him do anything on offense when he guarded him. Just embarrass him. And that's the way he led. So there's different ways of doing it. I know I've been talking for about 10 minutes, but we haven't been able to find anyone that's been able to do it in any of those ways. And that's been part of our journey this year as a team.
Frank, what's the key to getting through a losing streak? You've obviously been down this road before. What are some of the things that you tell your players? What are some of the internal keys for you, and maybe some of the things that you want to avoid?
I try not to change who I am. I am who I am every single day. I'm about the next day, the next day, the next day. I don't speak to our guys that we've lost 5 in a row. I don't bring that up. I don't go in there and tell them, like, you guys are bums because you're not, I don't do that. I never have. I don't speak to them when we're in a 5-game winning streak. When we won 3 or 4 to get the 4-4 in league play, I didn't come in here and say, all right, we're rolling now. I didn't do that. I'm consistent with who I am. I'm very driven on guys doing things the right way. And that's the point I hammer across to our guys every single day. I don't judge them based on the scores of games. I judge them on them doing stuff the right way. And unfortunately, right now, we're not as connected as we need to be. The scores of the game are irrelevant to me from that standpoint. It's a matter of getting our guys to play with a greater practice, with a greater sense of urgency, to be more connected as teammates on the floor. To be more understanding of what we're trying to do offensively. That and the problem is that it's 6 years ago the SEC was a little more forgiving. Right now it's not forgiving. Right now it's like every game you got to be, you got to tighten up them boots and be ready to go. And if you're not as connected as you need to be, you're probably not going to win. And that's kind of what's happening to us right now. So it's about today. It's not about yesterday or the scores or losing streaks or winning streaks. It's about today. And that's it. Control the next game on the schedule. It's all you can ever worry about.
Coach, just building off what you just said there, is the lack of connectivity the reason why this team is struggling execution-wise? When Justin was in here, he was saying offensively, it's really a matter of just executing what you're trying to call out there. And it's just guys getting beat to spots. It's just a matter of not understanding the offense. Like, when you look at film, what can you point to as to why guys aren't able to execute?
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's lack of leadership. Sindarius never, ever, 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 not 1 second practiced at the 4 spot. Yet I can play him at the point or the 4, and he understood it better than the guys that played at those spots. And because of that, everyone else had to kind of fall in line. We don't have that right now, I wish I can give you a better answer. And I mean, Joe, and I think, was it you that asked a question about how do you change that after the game the other day? And what I gave you the answer was the truth. Patience and education. That's one way of changing all that. You guys are going to sit around here for 2 years until education and patience kicks in. You're going to be sitting around here pissed because we can't win. Okay, I get that. So there's another way of changing that, and the way you change it is the old-fashioned way. Well, like I'd say the story all the time. When I was a sophomore, coach would sit on the half-court line in his chair, and he'd say everyone's shooting right-handed layups for 20 minutes. And you had to shoot jumping off your left foot. You couldn't finger roll. You had to shoot it, had to hit the glass, and had to go in. If you did any of those things the wrong way, you just went over and bent over in front of him, and he'd paddle you while sitting in his chair. You can't do those things anymore. You get what I'm saying? You can't change behavior the old-fashioned way, because as soon as one person says, oh, he's not being fair on how he manages me, then there's an uproar, and then we're all fired. It's the truth. It's no other way to word it. So as coaches, we're in a difficult spot right now when you're trying to change behavior because there's no patience, but you can't do it the old-fashioned way either. So you got to manage it, and that's what we're trying to do right now. But that's the biggest reason, you know. Here's the one thing, you know, and I said this before the season. I like the fact that people, you know, that's why you usually don't make predictions or tell you what I really think before seasons, because then it's used against you the rest of the year to make you sound like you're a fool. I said we might be the best shooting team that I've had since I've been here, maybe even in college basketball. If you look at what I said and you look at what we've done, you can't argue with that. We've had multiple players make multiple threes in games. I've never had that on a team. What I didn't realize in October when I said that was the fact that we were going to be so disconnected offensively, that the leadership was not going to embrace. I thought it was going to be better. And then the last part to this, we're not a very good passing team. And anyone that knows anything about trying to shoot the ball, if you're a bad passing team, you're not going to get good shots. And that's hurt us. Our inability to understand, like, for example, early in the Florida game, I called a flare screen for Felipe Haase. We executed the heck out of the play. He's wide open. Hassani, for whatever reason, decides to pass the ball a tick later than he should have. So by the time he passes it, the defense is already there. So now we don't get the shot we're trying to get. So little things like that. That's a bad passing team. It's not that the pass is like, because we throw some bad passes, but it's also the timing of the pass, which is a combination of understanding and passing. That's what's really it. But if you look, I mean, Felipe has made 4 threes in a game. Justin Minaya has made 4 threes in a game. David Beatty's made 3 threes in a game, I believe. Corey Holden just made 2 a couple games ago. Hassani made 4 threes in a game. Wes Myers made 5 threes in a game. Evan Hinson's made 2 threes in a game. Since I've been here, have we had that many guys on a roster make multiple threes? So what I was saying was not like some let's uplift everyone's spirit statement. It was the truth. But what I didn't take into consideration in October was what I found out about our team as we've been through it for 4 months.
Coach, with all those things you described, I guess how would you describe this season so far for you as a coach? Is this one of the toughest jobs that you've had to do, given everything that's happened to this point?
The season's the season. It's whether you're winning or losing. February is always a complicated month emotionally, because you're trying to manage your team and you're tired. I've had some off the court stuff this year that's just pummeled me. That's just emotionally drained me. But the season's the season. You know, the season's just the losing never helps. You have a little more wind in your sails when you're winning than when you lose games in February like we have. But at the end of the day, it's about managing personalities. It's about going out there and trying to get better. That's all that I ever worry about. February is always hard. I'm telling you, I've gone into February as a top 10 team in the country, and obviously we've gone into February with a 5-game losing streak. You know, and 2 weeks ago we're sitting in here, and we had just lost a game that we lost to Texas Tech, who's the best team in the Big 12, and everyone had a different opinion about our basketball team. And internally, I was not saying, oh, we got a chance now. No, I was about, we got to get better today. That's all I cared about. And now we haven't played well in 2 weeks. And we've had moments where we've done things the right way, but we haven't played as well as we need to. So February is always difficult, but that's, I don't know. I kind of feel the same I usually do at this time of year.
When you have a team that's had so many of its shots blocked, what have you done? Like, what things do you do to address that with them? Justin was in here talking about how him as a freshman, that's the thing he had to adjust to, is going against 7-footers and not be able to drive all the way in and stop. Why has that been so difficult maybe with this team with a bunch of new guys? Why, I guess, is that block shot rate so high?
I don't know. It wasn't high last year. Players have to understand. Our lack of recognition from guards that have played college basketball been a little frustrating. Wes, Asani, Corey, they've played college basketball. It's not their first rodeo. And their lack of understanding that against set defenses, if you get in too deep and you're a little guy, they're going to pounce your stuff right on top of your head. And, it's been hard to kind of comprehend. With freshmen like Justin has to learn. Justin drives the ball, and he jumps off 1 foot, and he leads with the ball. You're not going to succeed scoring at the rim if you lead with the ball. You have to learn how to lead with your body so you know how to protect and be able to score. Justin's also at that stage in his life where his whole life he's a bigger guard. When he did get to the rim, he can shoot it with his left hand regardless of what side of the rim he's on. He's learning that in college, if you're on the right side of the rim and you lead with your left, you're going to eat the basketball. And, but then, the inside guys, Chris, Chris is trying. Chris has gone from junkyard dog, get an offensive rebound. When you lose him, throw it to him, he scores, to now having to learn how to score through defense. A defense is programmed to guard him. He's been up and down there. He's gotten to the foul line, but as far as scoring, he's been up and down. And then Mike, the same thing. Mike is gone from, the guy like in the Florida game of the Elite Eight, that he's out there. No one even knows he's playing other than me because I see all the little things he's doing. And all of a sudden he makes that jump shot to make it a 4-point game. Now everyone says, holy cow, Mike Kotsar can really shoot. Well, that's probably the only shot he took other than the first possession of the game. And now he's having to handle the ball, make plays, and he's trying to figure all that out. And but that's been a little frustrating for me, from our guards, especially the guys that have played college basketball, that they have not, we're 20 whatever games in, and that we have not been able to understand where to get to the basket, when not to get to the basket. Like Dwayne noticed, Dwayne wasn't an over-the-rim guy. Do you remember him getting his shot blocked as much? No. You know why? Because he learned. He stopped. He'd shoot threes, and he'd stop in the mid-range and make decisions from that place, not try to challenge people at the rim all the time.
I know you hate talking about the past, but how do you kind of bottle up that 4 or 5 game stretch where things seem to be working, and how do you impart that on your group?
I don't really mind talking about the past. If you want to speak about when I used to wear size 32 Sassoon jeans, I'll be more than happy to speak about those days. It all depends what past you want to talk about. You want to talk about when I've acted like a fool in the past, I'd rather not speak about that. You're in a constant teaching mode. It's what you're trying to do. I say this all the time because we're all fans. As a fan, I get frustrated when teams say they show that they can play a certain way and then they show they can't play a certain way. As a coach, you're not worried about those things. You're not worried about we did this, we won 4 in a row, we did this, we lost 4. You're not worried about that. As a coach, you're trying to put all that stuff together and make the scores of the game irrelevant. Make them understand, listen, to win the game, this is how you have to play. If you make these mistakes, it's really going to hurt us. So stay away from these mistakes. I think Coach Knight said it a long time ago, and it's the truest statement of all time. Basketball is not a game of great plays. Basketball is a game of mistakes. Whoever makes the fewest wins the game. It's real simple. Right now, we're making too many mistakes. And the biggest problem we have is that all our mistakes are like one after the other. So it allows teams to go on these runs. It was happening to us earlier in the season. We kind of fixed, I don't want to say we fixed the problem. The attention to detail got a little better, which then it allowed us to stay in games because teams wouldn't go on these runs. Well, it's happened to us here again. And and we're trying to figure that out again, how to navigate through that. But see, I'm more concerned with some stuff like individual ball defense. We have teams watch. It's like everyone's got one of these gadgets now. So what happens is you load up all the breakdown film on your players' gadgets, and they sit there and they watch as you get ready to play somebody. We have experienced teams in our league now. We're the young team in the league. Last year, we were the experienced. Well, these kids that have been through the ropes, they're watching, and their coaches are telling them, watch this, watch this, watch this. So people attack us and attack individual players on our team, and we have to do a better job in our individual responsibility defensively of putting up a better fight. And we're not doing that right now. I'm not going to sit here and blame a guy. Do I have to coach better? Of course. But some guys have to do a better job of guarding the basketball. And I'm not just pointing at point guards. It's across the board. People are coming at us and attacking us off the dribble and just saying, here, give it to him and go. And the guy on the ball is really, really not putting up a fight. And then what happens? Everyone behind them now is on their heels, so they can't be aggressive defensively. So it's creating problems for us. So that's one thing that it's very fixable, but it takes ownership. I told the guys the other day, I said, I couldn't guard anybody. But if you kept taking me off the dribble, sooner or later you were going to take a hard one just so you thought about it twice next time you did it. And right now we just and we don't put up a fight. And so I don't know if I answered your question, but I don't say we do this, we win, we do this, we lose, because sometimes you do this and you don't win. So you're preparing your team for failure. I'm about, if you want to win, this is how you got to do things. And if you do things like this, then you're not going to allow yourself a chance to succeed. And it's kind of the way I try to teach it.
Regardless of what it is, whether it's leadership, passing ability, offensively, what have you, does there come a point in the season where a coach kind of says, all right, this is who we are at this point, and it's hard to change kind of the chemistry and the dynamic and functionality, I guess, of that team at that point in the year?
I think you're always fighting that. I don't think you ever just say, okay, that's who we are. I think as long as you got an ability to practice and play a game, you're always fighting to get better at whatever it is you're not happy with. That's why when you guys last week before, I don't know, you guys told me the player said something about they had a team meeting to get on the same page. Let me ask you this. Did it help them get on the same page? That's why I made a joke out of that, because I think those are the all that sounds good. I think all that crap's irrelevant. You understand what I'm saying? That's just me. There's someone sitting at home saying, oh, there you go. They're getting on the same page. Really? John, I think as the season goes on, it starts letting everyone understand, including me, because we're such a young team this year, who we are right now. But I don't think you ever say, all right, I'm cool with who we are, let's just move forward. No, I think you're always pushing to get people out of their comfort zone, to grow, to change, to get better. And it's like I tell our guys, we're not trying to get you to change for the worse. We're trying to get you to change for the better so you can grow, and as you grow, it allows us to become a better team. So, yes, the more games you play, the more it shows who your team is, but no, as a coach, you don't ever just accept that. Does that make sense?
Do you ever try do you ever do anything to change what you do as a coach to maybe put them in a position where they have a better chance to succeed given what you've seen from them in the past? You change maybe your standard?
Good question, because that's what's frustrated me with this team this year, is that we have done things a certain way and been able to find success because we did it a certain way. And And now all of a sudden we've decided to not do it that way, and we're not having success. And what I'm talking about success is the wins and losses. And now we're walking around like our feelings are hurt. I can understand if that's been the case the whole year. I can understand when we went through the whole, you know, and by the way, that, you know, it's unbelievable. This year's been like flu, this, that. It's just ridiculous. I mean, Justin last week didn't practice. He went right into the game because he had the flu. But I can understand if adversity, and guys just never grow and they just stay where they're at, then as a coach, you know what you have to manage. But that's where this team's been different for me. And I told our guys yesterday, if you pay attention, regardless of what you do, you actually pay attention, you get to learn every day and every year. You know, we were trying to figure stuff out early, but we were winning games. Then we kind of dealt with like real, I don't say real teams, that's not fair to the teams we played against, but like higher level basketball. And we kind of realized, well, this ain't going to work. So we had to kind of pay more attention to some stuff, and we did. We dealt with the injuries and the sicknesses and all that stuff, and just held the fort down and kept trying to grow. And then we did grow. And then all of a sudden, we've just, I guess last year's team had that saying, don't let go of the rope. It's like some guys on this team said, man, this is hard. You know, and the rest of us are like holding on to that thing, yelling at them, yo, come back here and grab this rope, man. You know, when we were all holding on to this thing, we were all right. So that's what's been frustrated about this team. And privately, that's what my brain's at, and that daily education, pushing, trying to get guys to get better, is them. They tasted success. They tasted playing South Carolina basketball, the new guys. And for whatever reason, it's like they weren't comfortable in it. And that's been hard to kind of put your arms around.
Coach, I know you got a glimpse of Team USA this weekend. How cool was it to have them on campus practicing this weekend?
That's why having Dawn Staley as a coworker is so special. It's not, you know, just the national championships and the Olympic gold medals and her stature as, like, I don't know, who's impacted women's basketball at all levels in my lifetime more than her in a positive way. As a player, as a college coach, as a national coach, I mean, it's unbelievable what she's done for women's basketball. There's a lot of people that are making a lot more money now playing women's basketball because of her efforts. And when I get to sit in our practice facility and I get to see the best women players in the world, most of them are American, in the same gym representing the United States at the University of South Carolina, it just kind of allows me to understand why having her as an ally, having her as a coworker, as a friend, you know, so great. You know, it's big time. That's you know, having all them great players in our facilities, you know, letting them see like our campus and our atmosphere and the whole thing, and them actually sitting around saying, "It's pretty cool. This is all right." And that's why I'm not surprised that they've won. That's why I'm not surprised that Asia came to school here, because she feels all that. And that's why I'm not surprised that as we were trying to build our program, Dawn would find time to try and keep my spirits in the right place. She didn't have to do that, you know, but that's who she is. And that's why having them around this weekend was just, you know, USA Basketball in our gym, you know, calling it home for 3 days. I thought that was awesome.
Two more, Hale and Phil.
Going back to earlier when you said something about dealing with a lot of emotional things has been kind of draining. Is there anything specific you can share? Like, is it like the good with the Final Four run and maybe dealing with the Rakim stuff, or can you share any details with what you meant by that?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff with our players is just part of the deal. I lost my godson, got shot 11 times in late November. Then one of my closest friends who was my assistant coach, I saw his son born, was at work, and right before Christmas, and he was loading a truck at his job. The guy got in the truck, didn't realize he was back there, just ran him over and killed him. So, you know, I've had some family stuff that I've dealt with too, just stuff that you don't plan on. And you're dealing with that, and then dealing with the normal issues that you have with your team. It's kind of beat me up a little bit, you know, emotionally. And but that's what I'm talking about. You know, I've had some personal stuff, and we all have them. And it's not like I'm the only one. It's just it's kind of all happened at the same time during the season in a year where we've got a lot more attention to pay to our guys. Because we need to grow a little faster, but you know, that kind of stuff.
Last question, Phil.
Good. I know you haven't finished with this season or given up on it, but you have the majority of your guys scheduled to return next year. As it's currently composed, the roster, could you see next year as a bounce back year with this group having gone through what they've gone through this year, or is it going to take an entire remake?
You got two guys redshirting. You add a McDonald All-American and the guy that played point guard for us last year. You add another guard. I hope you can fill in the blanks there. I like our team. I really do. I don't think we got to remake the whole thing. I don't believe in that. There's some guys that are there that they got to grow and get better. But I also know that there's some stuff on deck that's going to, coupled with what's in place. I didn't overreact to how good we can be when we were in that stretch in January. Whether it was, you know, right nose to nose with Tennessee, top 15 team in the country, nose to nose with Texas Tech, top 10 team in the country, and winning the other games around those two. I didn't overreact to how good we can be then. I'm not going to overreact because we haven't played well in the last 2 weeks. You know, every team has its own journey, its own path. We're finding out the journey that we were destined to have with dealing with all the adversity and all that. But I like what's in place. You know, Phil, I think you asked me something similar after close to the end of every season. I get it. You don't have 800 transfers in college basketball, and the talk amongst the country is that we should just let them all walk and recruit off each other's campuses. So I get it. I understand. Is that going to happen? I ain't worried about that. I know that I like what we got in place. I'm comfortable with it. We've got two guys redshirting that I'm watching in practice. And, you know, when I watch Raw Felder in practice, it's clear to me why he was the guy that played last year. It's clear. It's clear why I took PJ out and I put Raw Felder in. And he was the point guard. It's clear as day. And then you watch, Brian play, and Brian, there's a reason he's a McDonald All-American. He can really, really score and has a great feel for the game. And he's 6'7", 6'8", and, he's good. So I like, and obviously whatever you want to report on, whatever other guard might be coming here, I like where we're at in recruiting. You get some, you miss on some. It's all part of the deal. To your point with transfers, and I'm not into the past and, worried about what could have been, should have been, but our point guard play this year should have been Marcus Stroman as a senior, Raw Felder, and we would have been okay. But for obvious reasons, two guys that now you got your depth. You got your sophomore, you got your senior, and you got experienced guys that have been through it and won games for you. One guy played for 25 wins, the other one played for 26 wins. They got it. But for different reasons, that's not the case right now. So it's the way of college basketball. Would you say Lon Kruger's a pretty good basketball coach? Would you say he's pretty good? Yeah, he's a dear friend. I think he's phenomenal. And I think his demeanor's, I wish I can have his demeanor. I think it's incredible. You know how many games he won last year? You paying attention to this year? Same team. What's the difference? So it's, you know, so I'm comfortable with where we're at. And I'm comfortable with the guys that are kind of behind the curtains that haven't been able to step on the stage yet. You know, a year from now you ask me, hey, why'd all these guys leave? I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's, you know, it's, can you imagine if they opened this up and let everyone transfer and we recruit off each other's campuses? Can you imagine that? Recruiting be out the window. We wouldn't have to talk recruiting. We'd talk about not the 7th grade offensive tackle anymore, Phil. We talk about every other Division I offensive tackle. Thanks, guys.